my kitchen, folks. Now, my screen is still showing me as little, so I have no idea what I look like or what you can see, but I'm gonna do my best. So, Joe asked me if I would cook something healthy for all of you, and I thought, well, I don't really do that well. So, what I'm doing for you today is I'm going to make a skillet roasted lemon chicken. And this is something that I would make at the spur of the moment at any evening. And I didn't answer Joe right away because he's like, oh, would you do this? I'm like, no one wants to see me cook. And what am I gonna make? Well, then he had his son make that video at NBC Studios. So I'm kind of famous and everyone get my autograph after this. So anyway, bear with me. As I was thinking about this, I thought, how hard can it be? And then I remember watching Food Network Star and how everyone struggles and they bomb. And that's probably, I'm gonna have some of that. But can everyone hear me okay? Awesome. So if you have any questions, or feel free to just kind of jump in, because when I'm cooking or using my knife, it's best if I don't talk with the knife thing. So, you know, my thought is this is gonna be like what it would be if somebody comes over to my house and is in my kitchen cooking. So what I'm gonna do first is my favorite cast iron pan, my Le Creuset little cast iron thing. I like cooking in that for this because it makes everything crisper. You can do this in like a 9x13 or 9x11 pan if you have a big crowd, but normally I do, but anyway. So what I'm gonna do is I have 2 lemons and I'm gonna cut them in 1/4-inch slices. And I'm not talking because I don't wanna cut off my fingers. I've already practiced the old Julia Child thing where she's, I've cut the dickens out of myself. Anyway, can anyone, I can't hear anyone. Can anyone, is anyone talking?
We can hear you.
Awesome, okay.
We're just behaving ourselves.
Okay, and I have my little...
We're laughing at your jokes, but we're on mute.
Thanks. That, you know what, it's so encouraging, isn't it? Because actually this may be a little bit of a comedy. So, it helps to hear the laughter. And so I'm cutting these about...
I can hear you, Debbie.
Thanks. So I'm cutting these about 1/4 inch, and then I'm gonna arrange them in my frying pan. So it's making a bed of lemons. And it smells really good, and I'm a huge fan of lemons, so see how pretty that looks?
Nice.
Yes. And then I'm gonna do onions, and my son Lane actually is an excellent cook, and he's kind of showing me up lately. As I cut my onions, he always tells me I'm doing it incorrectly. He's been on YouTube, he's learned way more than me. But honestly, they taste the same, so I'm fine with it. So what I'm gonna do with the onions is I cut them in half, and then I'm gonna make those 1/4-inch slices also. And this is such a yummy recipe, and your whole house smells good. And I'm using chicken thighs with the bone in and the skin on. So then I'm gonna just take these onions and just kind of sprinkle them on there. It's making a bed of this, and then when the chicken is in the oven, it's gonna steam, and it smells so good and tastes really good too. And if I have time today, what I'll do is I make a sauce from this. Like, say for example, if you want to make some pasta or something. In fact, why don't I throw some pasta in the oven or in the pot? Oh look, it's already boiling. How convenient.
Debbie, is this recipe in your cookbook?
You know, not exactly, but there's one similar, but I used I think a whole chicken in my cookbook. And so it's just a little bit different. It's a little bit easier to do on a weeknight or something. Oh, and here is a great tip. So, these, I'm a spur of the moment cook. And so what I will do is, my son Lane got me these for Christmas, these little defrosting trays, and I thought, you know, they wouldn't work. These work so good. And you just put your frozen thing on this, and in 2 hours it's completely thawed, and it works really well. So apparently that was gift of the year for Christmas last year. So, bye honey, my husband's leaving, so anyway,
Great.
I bet it does. Now, I need some,
I'm sure he'll be home in time for dinner.
you know what? Actually, I'm sure I'm gonna have extra of this, so I'm thinking if anybody on this wants some chicken for dinner tonight, I'm gonna have extra. Like a whole meal. So maybe we could even, if it looks good, maybe we auction it off for dinner and it goes to the Dolly Parton Library. So what I'm doing
I
now,
thought you were just.
what's that?
I thought you were just inviting us to show up.
Well, you could do that too. I'm all vaccinated, so I'm safe. So I have 3 garlic cloves, and how I do my garlic cloves is with the back of my hand, just smash them like that. And then they just come right out of that little wrapper. And I use 3 garlic cloves. You can use more if you want, but I think 3 works really well. All I'm gonna do is slice this and put it on top of the onions and the lemon. And I'm really gonna watch myself here, sort of, you know. And then, oh, and you know what's really funny? Didn't get my chicken out. Oh, look at this. So, I picked this up from shopping cart yesterday, and it was really, I think it was $1.79 a pound. So it's a really economical dinner to make too. And these are nice and big chicken thighs. I think I may end up putting about six of them in there. I'll see how many I can crowd. So isn't this fun, just watching me in my kitchen? Wouldn't it be better if you were here? I could pour you a glass of wine. I think that would be really fun. And I'm gonna stir my pasta real quick.
What makes you think we're not already drinking?
If that's kale, I know better. Okay. So what I'm gonna do with this is make sure I pat it dry. And this is something I didn't know for the longest time. If you pat your meat dry, leave that there. If you pat it dry, it's gonna get a lot crisper and cook better. And so I pat dry all of my, if I'm doing steaks or roasts or anything like that. Get all of the moisture out of there. Then I take olive oil and I just kind of drizzle it over the top, just enough. I want to coat this, but then I'm going to kind of rub that in like this. Get the olive oil all over it. And it's, you know, it's interesting because I buy a lot of my meat at Costco just because it's frozen and things, and their thighs are really small compared to these ones that I got at shopping cart yesterday. These are nice and big. So I'm gonna wash my hands because E. coli sucks. That was supposed to be funny. And thanks. Thank you. Then I'm gonna take some salt, and I just I'm pretty generous with it because it just tastes really good when the skin is all cooked. And I'm not one of those people that take it and throw it over my shoulder because that just means more cleanup. And then I'll take some pepper. And let's see. do is I'll take these, and sometimes the skin kind of moves around on it, so you take it to where it's really covering everything, and then I'll place it in this pan. I'll see how many I can fit in there. And what I love about this is it smells so good and it tastes so good, and I love chicken skin. I don't eat it all the time, but it's so yummy. And this makes it super crispy. So I fit everything in there. Wash my hands one more time real quick. And then, oh, you know what? I forgot something. I'm gonna take my chicken back out, and there have been times that I have forgotten to do this. I have thyme. Time after time, I have forgotten to put my thyme in my chicken. So, I usually, there's not a particular measurement or anything. I just put it in to where it looks pretty. And I don't know if you can see this. It really does look pretty in there, even though everything's raw. So I'll put the chicken back in. And then I have the oven on 425. And what I'll do is I'll put this in the oven for, these ones are kind of bigger. I probably will put those in for more like 35 minutes. And then at 35 minutes, I pour in a cup of a white wine, like a Pinot Grigio or something like that. And then let that cook for another 10 or 15 minutes. And that's gonna help make the sauce. Because, like, I'm trying to be like a cooking show, I already have some in there, but I'm going to put this in here to cook. But I'm also going to set the timer so I don't forget. And so I'll show you what this looks like. Oops. And I haven't reduced the white wine, but I will. Okay. I know I don't know what you guys can see, but this looks so good. And I don't know if you can even hear this. I know. But the chicken, let me grab this. The chicken is like, I don't know if you can hear this, it's really crispy. So it's delicious. Anyway, so if you like to eat crispy chicken skin, that's really good. So then what I do is you could just eat your chicken like that, and sometimes I like to eat the onions that are cooked under there. Kevin's not a huge fan of that. But what I'm gonna do today, because I think I have plenty of time, is I'll take the drippings from that and I'll make like a sauce to put on pasta. And so I'm gonna take the chicken off, and then I'm gonna drain what's in there, which gives me a really flavorful kind of a broth. And then I'm gonna turn that on. I'll add some heavy cream to that, and then toss it with the pasta. Doesn't that sound delish?
That sounds good. What are you topping it with?
What am I doing, Flossie?
What are you topping it with?
Well, I'm going to,
After the cream.
after the cream, I just toss that with the reduction with the cream, and then I'll toss the pasta with it.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So, now if you were here in my kitchen, I would put you to work. Maybe you'd be making a green salad, or, you know, setting the table, or just drinking wine and watching me. But I think that's one of the funnest parts. That's why I love my... What's that? Did I hear someone say something? So, I am going to strain all of this through here. And the more, you can add more wine if you're wanting to make more sauce. It just kind of extends it. Or if you aren't a wine person, you could always use chicken broth or something. But I love the flavor of white wine in that, and the lemons and the thyme. It smells so good. And, you know, so as I'm doing this, I was thinking, what, I feel like I need to do filler. So what I'd like to know is, does anyone know, has anyone ever flown into Anchorage Airport before? So,
Where?
somebody has? Joe has. So I'm flying into there in June. My brother is just moving to Soldotna, and I'm in charge of making reservations for all of my family, like my dad and my brother and my dad's friend and us and my other brother-in-law. And apparently it's really hard to find. I'm having a hard time finding rental cars out of the Anchorage Airport. So if anyone has any pointers for me, I'm kind of in need. So what I'm going to do is take that reduction and just pour that in my pan. I'm going to heat that up real quick. And it's really nice. I love my gas stove because everything heats up so quick. Can you see me? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So while that is doing that, I'm gonna wipe this off, and I try and be like, I don't know if anyone knows who Thomas Keller is, of the French Laundry. He's the tidiest cook I have ever seen, and that's just something he's really good about. I am like the antithesis of that. Anyway, so while that is heating,
How much crew does he have doing the cleanup for him?
I don't know, but I'm like, I watch him and I'm like, he is so tidy, and I'm just like, it's everywhere. So what I did here is I just grabbed a handful of parsley, and I'm just gonna chop that up, a little rough chop, and then, let's see how I'm doing. So this is boiling, so I don't really do measurements, I should, but I have a cup of heavy cream. All of that's not going in there. I'm gonna kind of pour it in and see how it looks. And so that's probably about a quarter cup that I poured in there. I'll just stir that. And actually this smells really good. But what I should do is taste it. I'm sure I have enough salt in there. It's really good. It's got that really bitey lemon. I love that. Then I'm just gonna drop my pasta over into that, and then let it absorb all of that that yumminess. So did anyone not eat lunch today and need some lunch? Let's see here. So tonight,
Waiting for someone just to walk in behind you and say, I'm here.
I know. You know, I thought that would have been really fun to have. I should have invited a couple of you, maybe Joe and Patty over. They could have been here eating. That would have been fun.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, so I'm going to turn that down and let that just kind of do its little thing. And then I'm going to add some of this parsley to it. And toss that some more. Then for Kevin and I mean, we don't eat like this all the time, but this would be a really simple meal for us to eat on any weeknight or something. And I was thinking, sometimes,
Debbie, what kind of pasta do you use?
you know, it's the Diceco or Barilla, either one. But this one I use a linguine.
Okay.
So it's not as wide as a fettuccine. I think it works really well. Diceco has some really good pastas that have like ridges in them, so they really grab the sauce. So I like that. Usually it's whatever's on sale though. is what I buy. But I really like Barilla or Pacheco. And I was thinking, so recipes,
Thank you.
go ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So for me, recipes are more of a inspiration than something I follow along. So I was thinking, you know, I haven't done this and it may not turn out, but I was thinking, you know what might be good on this is if I took that sauce and add a little Dijon mustard in there. I think that would be kind of tasty, and definitely Parmesan cheese. But I think I'm going to try that at some point. Just as I was thinking of doing this today, a lot of time that's how I cook. It's like whatever's in the house or whatever I think, that might be a nice compliment. Usually 95% of the time it's completely edible. And probably 75% it's really delicious. So what I have, I'm going to put this, toss this one more time. And I probably would add some Parmesan to that. But then I would put these back on here. And I dump those drippings because that is so good. Lick your fingers. And we show you what we made. This is what we made. So, skillet lemon chicken with linguine and thyme. It's really good. So, if I have a whole nother pan of chicken in the oven, and so if anyone would like chicken and pasta for dinner, I would be happy to give this to anyone that would eat it. If anyone wants to donate anything to Dolly Parton Library for it, great. If not, let me know and I can run this to somebody or can run out to the house and pick it up. So, I guess,
Thanks.
ciao.